Homage to the fundamental teacher Buddha Shakyamuni, homage to the wisdom warrior Manjushri, homage to all the lineage benevolent masters. The Dharma, infinitely profound and subtle, is rarely encountered even in a million eons. Now we are able to hear, study, and follow it. May we fully realize the Tathagata's true meaning. I was supposed to read this verse. Perhaps some of you are very learned and too familiar with this verse. In order to liberate all sentient beings from samsara, please generate the supreme bodhicitta. Let's continue to learn the praises to the 21 Taras. In Tibetan Buddhism, every tradition or school likes to chant this praise. Also in people's daily lives, there are many cases of dispelling the 8 great fears, or the 16 lesser fears, by relying on Tara's responsive blessing. Hence, I think that from now on, we should propagate the practices of Tara by all means in the mainland. The blessings of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are inconceivable, like the effective medicine that has the amazing power of healing, and the magic with the unbelievable power of displaying miracles. In this world, there are many inconceivable powers. Most of you here are Buddhists, so you must have faith in the qualities, wisdom, and compassion of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And since you all have faith, you should pray to them often. Whether one receives the blessing is strongly related to one's devotion and effort in practice. If one never prays to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, nor recites their scriptures, despite the fact that sublime beings possess extraordinary powers, virtues, and blessings, without a yearning for their blessing and actually engaging in practice, one cannot receive their blessing. Whether one becomes a good practitioner or not depends on oneself. As the Buddha said, I have shown you the methods that lead to liberation. But liberation depends on you, so exert yourselves. Surely, to attain liberation, we will also need to rely on the instructions of spiritual teachers. In the beginning, you will need the guidance from spiritual teachers. It is like learning how to drive. First, you need to receive instructions from experienced drivers. After that, whether you drive well or not depends on your own effort and practice. Likewise, in the beginning, without the guidance of spiritual teachers, we wouldn't know how to practice. Take the practice of Tara, for example. Many people may have seen the image of Tara, but may not have had the chance to know what the practice of Tara is really like. Now, by learning this practice together, many will get to know its profound meaning and how to practice Tara. Similarly, for any good medicine in the world, without advertisement and development, not many people would know its magical effectiveness. So I hope that in the future, every Dharma friend will carry forward the practice of Tara. But before that, you must practice it yourself. If you have never experienced Tara's blessing, it is difficult to teach the practice to others. Yesterday, I heard the female group reciting praises to the 21 Taras in Chinese. They chanted very well. Not sure how the male students will perform today. Before the class yesterday, I saw a group of male students preparing for the chanting. I just took a look, but it seems that no one is making preparation. Maybe they will come later and do a better job. No matter what, just like what I did last night with the female group, I will sprinkle rice and recite the essence of dependent origination dharani to bestow you blessings. In the future, how should we spread the blessed words of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas? Everyone should think carefully on this. Regarding the propagation of Buddha Dharma, it will only succeed with the collective efforts of many, instead of relying on the strength of mind alone. The praises seem quite simple, containing only 21 stanzas. As a matter of fact, in the long history of Tibetan Buddhism, Tara has been deeply rooted in people's minds. Everyone prays to Tara and recites her mantra. I often wonder, in this age in the Tibetan region, how could the Buddha Dharma be preserved so well? Indeed, Buddha Dharma is the most needed mental remedy for mankind. As for other materials such as food and necessities, they are not in shortage in the age of globalization. What do people lack the most now? Spiritual sustenance. As you can see, many people with a high level of education are interested in the Tibetan culture and yearn to visit the Tibetan area. Their interest does not come out of nowhere, but is generated from a rather profound source. What is the origin of their interest? Buddhism. As long as the spirit of Buddhism is preserved in the Tibetan plateau, people there will continue to be simple and pure, without much greed, hatred, and ignorance in their minds. But once the essence of Buddha Dharma disappears in the Tibetan region, the Tibetan people would become as restless as people in big cities. Whether Tibetans, Han people, or other groups, in appearance, most are ordinary beings. Ordinary humans are always caught up in the waves of greed, aversion, ignorance, and are constantly suffering without the nurture of Buddha Dharma. Tibetans would also suffer from spiritual and physical deprivations. Why is it that so many pious Buddhists are attracted to Tibet and yearn to visit? Some people say they are attracted by the blue sky, the white clouds, and the grassland in the Tibetan region. These can also be seen elsewhere. The natural scenery is not the point. What matters the most is the spirit of Buddhism, especially the essence of the altruistic bodhicitta that has been well preserved. Back then, when Buddhism was still prosperous in India, the quintessence of Buddhism was well preserved in Nalanda Monastery and other sacred sites. Because of this, it attracted scholars from all over the world. The renowned Chinese master Xuanzang and Fa Xian also studied there and brought back many important scriptures. Think about how many people have they benefited later. I often think that now many monastics and lay practitioners come to seek Buddhism here in the Tibetan region. First, they learn and practice Mahayana Buddhism themselves. Then, they can influence people around them. We should not isolate ourselves from society like a lonely pine tree on the hilltop. We shouldn't be like this. Everyone has their families, relatives, friends, and work colleagues. If one has the wisdom of altruism, one can illuminate others no matter what. Wherever they are, they will radiate the light of great compassion. In this way, it wouldn't be too difficult to make a positive impact on the world. So now that you are here, I hope you can make the sincere aspiration to benefit others. Back to this praise, although it seems fairly simple and covers only 21 stanzas, in fact, the Tara practices can be found in many dharmas and sadhanas. volumes of collections. With the praises to the 21 Taras that we are studying, I'm only explaining the outer meaning with just a literal explanation. But in fact, every stanza can be expounded from the view of the generation stage, the completion stage, and the great perfection. Within the great perfection, there are the categories of the mind, the space, and pith instruction. Every stanza can be interpreted from the view of these three categories, respectively. If we were to explain each stanza extensively according to the teaching of every vehicle, there would be too much to cover. For example, if we practice praises to the 21 Taras according to the four activities, there will be many rituals. In these rituals, the chanting of each Tara's mantra is integrated with the four activities. This will involve lots of complicated steps of visualization. Since we've just started to learn about Tara, I will only give a simple explanation along with more stories. I know that most of you like stories and 70% are story inclined. Why do I say that? I don't mean that you aren't any good, but every time I tell a story, you are so drawn into it. Yet when I refer to something more sophisticated, you seem sleepy. So I think, since most of you are interested in stories, I will introduce this praise in a simple manner. If possible in the future, I will translate more practices on Tara and will explain from a more profound level, resorting to the piths of Vajrayana. This time, although we are only learning its literal meaning, we can still gain lots of inspiration. Today, let's continue from where we left off the other day. D1, praise from the peaceful body aspects, consists of 6 parts. We have finished 5 of them from previous lectures. Now, E6, praise from crushing the opponent's yantras. 第六个小课班是这样的，那么迪尼神父踏访 Homage to you, who with Tat and Pat crushed the enemy's yantras to dust, with right leg bent in and left leg extended, shining you tread amidst flames wildly blazing. 这个就是21度目当中呢，就是这里有一个叫做这个神父。This is Tara Aparatsia, or Droma Shenki Mitupma in Tibetan. The Tara who is invincible in crushing adversaries. This Tara is praised for her invincible power in destroying all the opponents, whether it be foes, demons, unfavorable conditions, or obstacles. Through Tara's compassion and power, all can be subdued. In general, to tame different sentient beings, her methods vary. When working with mildly ignorant beings, Tara tames in a compassionate manner. As to vicious and stubborn beings who are difficult to tame, she will manifest a fierce and wrathful form like this Tara here. From her speech, she utters Jat and Pada to destroy all the yantras, or wheels of delusion, that the enemies display. That is, whatever instruments they display to confuse sentient beings are crushed by this Tara. Jat is actually a mantra in purifying and uprooting samsara, whereas Pad is the mantra in obtaining peaceful nirvana. In other words, Jat signifies the nature of unconditional compassion, and Pad exemplifies the nature of non-grasping wisdom. When wisdom and compassion are in union, there will be a power that cannot be conquered, so she can overcome all the unfavorable conditions and obstacles. In some practices of Tara, we can visualize Tara emitting these 2 seed syllables to dispel all the evil deeds of enemies. 蓝色的，就是还有这个This Tara is blue-black bodied. 蓝色的这个杜牧啊，就是它这个蓝色的杜牧的话，那就是它整个做事呢， She sits with right leg bent inward and left stretched out, treading on all enemies. She is amidst wildly blazing flames. Although she is in a peaceful form, in order to destroy the foes and all hostile conditions, such as hailstorms, warfare, epidemics, etc., she manifests the blazing fire which can burn all those negativities down. When we encounter unfavorable conditions and obstacles that are horrifying, visualizing Tara would be great. If you can visualize all the 21 forms of Tara, it will be great. If not, you can just visualize one of them, such as the green Tara or Tara Shenki Mitugma. This Tara's right hand holds the same gesture as the previous Taras. That is, her right hand is in the gesture of bestowing protection. Her left hand holds a Uptala flower on top of which is a sword. The sword can cut off the root of ignorance and wrong views. She sits amidst the raging flames. All the external obstacles, such as adversities in daily life, can all be dispelled by Tara. Long ago in India, there were 500 monastics practicing in the forest. But during their practice, they were faced with disturbances from the surrounding evil spirits. Many monastics began to behave crazily and spoke of nonsense, etc. At that moment, an old bhikshu recalled what his guru had taught. His guru told him that whenever he is confronted with hostile conditions or sufferings, he should practice the Tara. So he began to practice accordingly to his guru's tip. He prayed fervently. Then Tara appeared in his dream and gave him instruction. Following the instruction, he hung many images of Tara across the whole forest. When the demons saw the whole forest was full of the images of Tara, they couldn't impose any danger. Therefore, whether we encounter certain unfavorable conditions and troubles during our practice, or whenever there are bumpy situations in our career or personal life, praying to Tara will certainly be the most responsive and swiftest way of receiving blessing. This is probably not known to some of you, because you had very little knowledge of Tara and her qualities before. But now that you have learned about her power, you should engender a great conviction in her. With conviction, you can beseech her. I hope that in the future, Dharma friends can try to practice Tara on different occasions in life. In the Tibetan area, there are many stories of Tara's direct responsiveness. Not sure if you have visited the Jokang temple in Lhasa. There used to be an exquisite wall painting of Tara there. Many great masters had placed golden leaf upon her image and made grand offerings to her. As they prayed to her, many auspicious signs occurred. It is said that once Chogyopakpa came to worship this Tara and offer her a kata. When he placed the kata on the floor beneath her, Tara suddenly spoke, "You better put the kata up here rather than on the ground." There is such a story in history. These stories are all from reliable historical records. If we don't acknowledge such history, then it is no different than denying the validity of the chronicles of Chinese history. Whether it's this lesson that is is taking place right now or whatever we have done in the past. Sooner or later, all will become a part of history. By then, it will be unreasonable to negate the occurrence of these events. In mainland China, there aren't too many stories about Tara. In places like Taiwan, practices of Tara were propagated much earlier by the effort of many Tibetan masters. That's why there have been many stories of Tara in Taiwan, particularly in places such as Kaohsiung, Taipei, etc., where lots of young people like to practice Tara. Therefore, there are many stories about the wonder of Tara. Some were going through breakups, and after reciting prayers of Tara for a while, things changed for the better. Some factories went out of business, but then these business owners found a better path by relying on Tara's blessing. There are many stories like this, and these aren't just myths. Some of you might think these are just outdated stories and question whether these miracles will still happen now. Or some might wonder if the Tara practice is outdated, whether she is still as responsive now. That would never be a question. Yesterday, when we were chanting the praise, my mind was filled with heartfelt conviction, and tears of faith were unstoppable. On one hand, I cried because I feel a bit sad that I have such devotion to Tara and have been praying to her since I was little. But other than tankas and statues of Tara, I haven't seen her face to face yet. But mostly, I feel sorry that so many beings are suffering tremendously in the samsara and really wish that Tara can bestow her blessing to eradicate the suffering for them. Actually, all of you here today are very fortunate. You are physically healthy and enjoy sufficient food, clothing, and necessities. Of course, not everyone is content in mind, and you might have your own afflictions and problems. By and large, we are in a fairly good condition. Among different groups in this society, there are lots of individuals who are in anguish. Especially if you visit the hospital, regardless of which department you enter, you see countless people suffering. For instance, if you go to an optical clinic, you will feel as if everyone is having eye problems. When you go to orthopedics, it seems that everyone has bone problems. Every department of every hospital is filled with suffering patients. So when we pray, we should pray on behalf of sentient beings. Regarding the teaching of Buddhism, some ask, is Buddhism concerned with the interests of others or oneself? It should be understood this way. Buddhism is both other-oriented and self-oriented. But as to different individual Buddhists, superior practitioners are so entirely altruistic that they pay no attention to themselves. Medium practitioners aim to benefit both others and self. Inferior practitioners only care about personal liberation from samsara. In other words, the ultimate spirit of a Buddhist is altruism. How far a practitioner applies the spirit depends on the depth of one's spiritual practice. When we pray to Tara, we should remind ourselves that around us, or in places that we can't see or hear, countless beings are suffering in unbearable pain, saddened, and crying. We should pray for them so that they can be liberated by the swift blessing power of Tara. The fruition of beings attaining liberation doesn't come out of nowhere. For some beings, through our prayers, their suffering can be alleviated. Some others attain liberation when good causes and conditions come together by the power of their prayers. No matter what, it's important to pray for the welfare of beings. Here, we speak about the appearance of Tara, that she is a mist raging flames. So, when we pray, we should visualize the appearance of Tara like that, with blazing fire around her. There's a story of a practitioner in retreat. He visualized the wrathful deity without knowing exactly how. As he saw blazing fire around those wrathful deities, he thought it might be good to meditate himself in that way as well. As he practiced, his retreat room caught on fire due to some other reason. At first, he thought the fire was just a meditative phenomenon that came from his successful visualization experience. He stayed and endured the heat. Then he felt he was about to get burned. He wondered, am I really on fire or is it my visualization? Then he found out that the monastery was actually on fire. He was petrified and started to run away. When we visualize, we don't have to visualize ourselves as Tara. The visualization we practice here is rather simple. It is in accordance with the visualizing method of Kriya Tantra or Charya Tantra. Within this approach, we visualize Tara, the extremely compassionate female Buddha, sitting in front of us, and pray to her for blessings so that all kinds of our obstacles can be removed. Practice in this manner. We don't have to do the visualization of the higher tantric level in which we visualize ourselves as the deity. Here, we are not touching on that level yet, so we can just go with the general method of visualization. Next, D2, praise from the wrathful body aspects. This is divided into 7 sections. The first is E1, praise from destroying demons and foes. The stanza is as follows. Homage to Durei, the fearsome lady, destroyer of the most powerful demons. With a deep furrow brow on your lotus face, you are the slayer of each and every foe. To whom do we pay homage? To Tara Aparajita, or Droma Shen Gyoa, the Tara who is triumphant over others. She can dispel all kinds of fear of sentient beings. In our life, we have various kinds of fear. Fear of demons, fear of enemies, fear that comes from our own mind, fear of failing to sustain a livelihood, and more. For example, a businessman is afraid of losing money in business. Am I doing a good job? Am I losing profit? Employees are concerned about the development of their career. These worries can be cleared away by the great power of Tara. This Tara is black in color with the flaming Vajra as her implement. Here it says red in color, which is also fine. Right, it should be red. This Tara is red-bodied. She can destroy all the ferocious demons. When she is peaceful, her face is as beautiful as a lotus flower. But in front of certain beings that are hard to tame, she frowns with her eyebrows and forehead wrinkled. In some paintings, we can see that this Tara displays an expression of wrath, but she is not depicted as such in all images. Most images are quite alike. By her power and blessing, all the foes are slain. By slay, it doesn't mean to harm them or to kill them. Instead, it is to liberate them. In Buddhist context, there are many expressions like destroy, subjugate, expel, etc. In fact, these are skillful means to benefit and liberate beings. Fears is used similarly to subjugation or destroying in Buddhism, but does not represent the way ordinary people behave. Ordinary people do these things only for their own interests. For that purpose, they kill or drive away their enemies. Such values can be reflected in the policy making of many nations. Actually, the intents and actions of harming beings have never existed in Buddhism. It seems as if Tara exerts her power to cast out and slay all the Maras and opponents. But actually, By the power of Tara's extraordinary ability, she uses these seemingly ferocious methods to release and liberate sentient beings. We must be aware of this point. On the surface, there are methods of subjugation or expulsion in esoteric Buddhism and exoteric Buddhism. Actually, these methods are skillful means adopted under the compassionate intent, which are workable for eradicating the non-virtuous acts of beings. Thus, by the support of Tara, hostile forces and obstacle makers can be removed. Unsure if you've heard of the famous Tibetan story of a single-legged Tara. It is a well-known story in the Tibetan region and almost everyone can tell it. It seems to be just a simple story, but the meaning is rather profound. Long ago in the Tibetan region,
这个小城市的附近呢，就是有一座桥，就是这个桥呢，就确实是
a bridge in a small town was occupied by many non-human beings, demons, and evil spirits. They occupied the place and caused harm around the bridge all the time. You may know odd places like this. Such places exist in mainland China as well. There are places that are troubled by demonic forces who cause troubles constantly, while there are other places that remain in peace, free of such afflictions. With the bridge, whoever crossed over it will run into some troubles. One day, a quarrel broke out in a household between a couple. In a fit of pique, the wife decided to get away from home that night. As she left, she had to cross the bridge. She got worried when reaching the bridge, but she was so infuriated that she wouldn't return. She had no choice but to cross the bridge. As she was crossing, it occurred to her that the bridge was guarded by many evil spirits. She got very scared. Then, she started to chant the prayers of Tara. But she was so angry and in haste that she couldn't recite the Tara prayer properly. She should have at least chanted the first line correctly, which is Om Jezuma Pamadromala Chatsalo, or homage to the noble lady Tara. She should have at least chanted the homage line correctly, but out of fear, she forgot some part of it and just chanted Om Droma, which is Tara. Besides this, she forgot the homage part. As she kept reciting Om Droma, she crossed the bridge without any troubles. One of the spirits asked another, "One woman just crossed by. Why didn't you catch her?" The spirit answered, "I saw nobody but a single-legged Tara passing by." Because the woman didn't recite the mantra completely, she appeared as a Tara lacking one leg in front of these non-human beings. I saw a single-legged Tara passing and no one else. Since then, Tibetans know to pray to Tara whenever dangers occur. Since we were little, whenever we run into troubles, we will recite the Tara mantra at the very least, or a succinct prayer of 2 lines. I pray to you, noble Savioress Tara. May you protect us from all danger, fear, and suffering. This is the briefest Tara prayer that you can find at the end of the praise. When you have time, you should chant the praises to 21 Taras. If you really have difficulties in doing so, recite this short prayer or her mantra. Then all the demonic obstacles and hostile conditions can be dispelled. This is very crucial. E2. Praise from safeguarding others. Here, the stanza reads, Homage to you, whose fingers grace your heart and display the 3 jewels mudra. You are graced by wheels adorning every direction with dazzling radiance that overwhelms all. This is Tara Hadiravani, or Droma Sentenaki in Tibetan, who is in fact the Green Tara. Her right hand holds the gesture of bestowing protection, with the left hand at her heart in the gesture of the three jewels. The gesture of the three jewels is commonly seen in the pictures of Taras. It is a gesture in which the ring finger and the thumb are joined holding the stalk of the lotus flower, with the other three fingers pointing up. This is called the Three Jewels Mudra. On top of the lotus holding in the hand of this Tara, there's a Dharma wheel. Basically, the gesture of the left hand of each Tara is pretty much the same, but the implements in their left hands are different. Generally, the mudra of the right hand is the same. Green Tara adorns or safeguards all worlds of every direction. Every direction represents the scope of area, which covers every place and corner in the whole universe. So she safeguards universes of all directions. We should pray to Green Tara often. In different images of Green Tara, sometimes her left hand holds only a lotus without a Dharma wheel on top of it, while sometimes she holds a Dharma wheel directly without the lotus. The radiance from Tara's body embraces all sentient beings. All the sentient beings are protected under the light of Tara. When confronted with suffering and unfavorable conditions, we can visualize that Tara shines a light of blessing upon us to safeguard and to protect us. Such visualization brings immense benefits. In the history of China, there were some who practiced the Green Tara, but such cases were not as prevalent as in the Tibetan region. During the time of the imperial preceptor of Changjia Ropé Dorje, it is said that the practices of Tara were quite prevalent among the imperial families. The mother of Emperor Qianlong was a devoted practitioner of Green Tara. In the Lama Temple, or Yonghe Gong today, there are still collections of tankas of Green Tara preserved as precious cultural relics. These tankas were not hand-painted, but were made of thousands of pieces of embroidered brocades. They are very precious and cherished cultural relics in history. The mother of Emperor Qianlong had a great faith in Green Tara. In the Tibetan region, it is said that Princess Rikuti of Nepal brought the first statue of Tara. Later, Princess Wencheng of the Tang Dynasty also brought along a Tara statue to Tibet upon her marriage to the Tibetan king. I mentioned the Tara statue in Shiju County the other day. There is a Tara shrine in Luoxu town, Shiju, called Droma Lakhan in Tibetan. It is not too far from the place where Jumipan Rinpoche passed away. I have visited this place, a very auspicious site where there have been many prominent masters. It is said that when Princess Wencheng passed through this place on her way to Lhasa, the Tara statue she brought with her suddenly began to talk. I'm staying here to benefit beings instead of going to Lhasa, she said, because the climate in Lhasa isn't good sometimes and one might get altitude sickness. If you have altitude sickness, you might have a headache or get dizzy in class. Seems like some of you are having altitude sickness, so I will try to finish the class soon. Our presentation group members are listening attentively. It seems that some lay visitors are experiencing altitude sickness and headache. While you feel discomfort and are constantly kneading and rubbing around your heart, I also feel the discomfort in my heart as it is swaying along with your movements.
所以当时就是说是那个地方呢，也是一个特别好的这个独木像啊，但是当地就是最主要的。
About the Tara Shrine, there is a great Tara statue in that place. Although there have been Tara statues in the Tibetan region from a long time ago, it is from the time of Lord Atisha that practices of Tara became prevalent. Unsure if you have visited Lhasa. In 1990, when I accompanied His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok to India, we went by way of Lhasa. On our way to Lhasa, we passed by the village of Netang, a place near Lhasa where Atisha and Drongtonpa had stayed. In the village, there is a Tara temple called Netang Droma Lakang, located 21 miles from Lhasa city. In 1046, Atisha arrived in Netang and stayed there for 9 years. In around 1054, Atisha entered Nirvana at Netang. After Atisha passed into Nirvana, his relics were left there along with his other personal belongings that contained holy blessing. A year later, the Tara temple was built to commemorate Atisha. The temple is of great blessing and is known to everyone in the area of Lhasa. At the time when His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok visited this temple, he consecrated it in person and we prayed together. If you visit Lhasa in the future, you should also visit Netang. It is very close to Lhasa. As far as I can remember, this Tara temple is rather small, but it carries historical significance and contains great blessing. All in all, there are many statues of Tara in the Tibetan region. The Yonghe Temple in mainland China also has many precious collections of Tara. When praying to Tara, do it with devotion.
包括我们现在有些人呢，特别严重的这种疾病的话呢，也是
By praying with devotion,
治疗的。
people who are critically ill can be cured. I once read a story of a man who was in the final stage of gastric cancer.
他都特别的这个奢望，觉得没有什么这个意义了。
He was extremely desperate, feeling that there was no hope to recover anymore.
好像是一个梦当中吧，一个梦当中的话呢，身体完全是一个绿色的，然后呢，人来
Later, he dreamt of a green-bodied lady who came and reprimanded him.
他就专门开海鲜的这个。
He was a Singaporean businessman who owned a seafood restaurant.
绿色的这个母亲，绿色的妈妈呢，告诉他，最好你把那个海鲜的罐呢，海鲜的这个餐。
The green lady told him, "I am your mother. You should close the restaurant right away and I will save you." She probably also exhorted him to engage in Dharma practice. He found it strange. Later, he entered a Buddhist shop coincidentally. There, he saw a tanka of the woman who looked exactly the same as the Green Mother in his dream. I figured out that it was Green Tara. He was surprised and thrilled, then brought the tanka back. It is said that he later set up a Dharma center of Green Tara in Singapore. Miraculously, he recovered from cancer completely without further treatment. Later, he helped many cancer patients who were critically ill and encouraged them to practice the Green Tara. Many of them have recovered. I read the story from other places. It should be true. It's said that more than 200 patients have been cured, and they all feel the great blessing of Green Tara.
所以呢，我想就是想得到这个长寿也好，想得到
So,
一些这
for
个
those who wish for
快乐
longevity,
的话呢，就是的
happiness,
确是
or
对我
delight,
们是
it
特别
is
重要。
really good
以
to
前那
engage in
个
the
贡
practice
布
of
巴尊者
Tara.
的一个上师嘛，
Once
就是
there
噶当
was a
还是就
master
是
of
特
the
别这个
Kadampa
修行
school
好
who
的
was
一
a
个
great
就
practitioner.
是大的，就是他在这个晚年的时候
In
呢，
his
就
late
是
years,
很想这个弘法利生，
he
但
hoped
后
to
来呢，
disseminate
确实
Dharma
是
to
出现
benefit
一些这
beings.
个疾病，就是接近这个疟疾。那
Yet
那个
there
时候
seemed to
呢，
be some
就
problems with
他
his
就后
health
来就
such
是
that he
有一
couldn't
些
live
这
long.
个好
Then
像什么
for
因
some
缘，就是让
reasons,
他这个
he
修
began
度
to
母，然
engage
后
in
他
the Tara
度母这个
practice.
修了11个月，11
After
个月以后
11
的
months
话
of
呢，度
practicing,
母亲自已经显现了，显现以后呢，就是说这个他的宿命
Tara
呢，就是
appeared to
在这个
him
延
and
长
said
这个
that
10
his
年，然后
lifespan
呢，
would be
他就
extended
非
for
常
10
欢喜
years.
的，后来就是
He
到
was
了
very
60岁
glad.
，60岁的时候呢，他又不断的这个修啊，
When
然后
he
又
reached
见到了，
60,
然后他心
again,
里有
he practiced
让他
Tara to
造这个
prolong
动
his
物的
life.
像，就画动
Tara
物的
appeared
tanka，
again
这
and
个还有
instructed
这个
him
造
to
像
make
的，这样
tanka
反反
or
复复的，
statue of
一直这
Tara.
个活到
After
了
that,
95
he
岁
prayed
啊，
to
就
Tara
是
many
95岁。
times for prolonging
确实，
life.
我们
In
有
this
些
way,
现在
he
时代
lived to
人
be
的话呢，
95 years
对
old.
这个长寿啊、
Many
发
people
财
now
啊，
seek
然
longevity,
后这
wealth,
个家
a
庭
happy
幸福
family,
啊等等，
and
就是这
delight.
些是确实也是作为凡夫人来讲是，这是对他来说是比较这个
Indeed,
重大的
for
事情
ordinary
啊。我们
people,
说来
these
世
are
解
big
脱的话，那
things.
就是他就觉得说啊，来世
If
反
we
正
talk to
到
them
时再
about
说吧。
ultimate
就是现在我
liberation,
这个家庭，
they
现
think
在
that
我
is
这个
too
生
far
活
away.
变好都是
They
多么
think
好。
a
那
happier
这样的话，
family
诸佛
and
菩萨
better
的加持
living
是不可
in
思
this
议的，
life
就是
is
大
more
家应该
important.
通过这个念
If
诵
this
度
is
母的
what
话
you
呢，
wish,
以他的这
because
个
the
微
blessing
光呢，
of
就是
Buddhas and
这个
Bodhisattvas is
帮助自
indeed
己，也
incredible.
是前处
If
就
you
是
pray
特
to
别
Tara,
为
by
愿
her
啊。当然
brilliant
是这是
power,
有一心
obstacles
性
will be
有
cleared
信心的
away
人来
and
讲呢，
wishes
就
will
是
be
确实
fulfilled.
是会
For
感
those
受这
with
些的。
faith,
如果
they
一
can
点这个
certainly
信
feel
心
the
的没
blessing.
有的话呢，当
Whereas
然
for
是就有
those
一
with
点
no
的这个
faith,
困难。
it may be difficult for
就
them
下
to
面
experience the
我想
blessing.
再讲，下面就是说第二
One
个
more
是以这
stanza.
个坏入啊，就是
E3,
坏入
praise from
诸
magnetizing
诸
all
魔和一
hosts
切
of
这个
Maras
世
and
间众
worldly
生而
beings.
赞叹的，就是那么这个颂词当中，顶礼幻乐为德摩，顶礼
Homage to
幻乐
you,
为德摩，
supremely joyous.
顶是光满
Your
成百，
splendorous crown spreading garlands of
嬉
light,
笑大笑，
smiling
身中
and
应
laughing,
怀入
with
群魔
Dudare,
异世间。
you bring
那么
demons
这个
and
是
worlds
顶
under
这个
control.
欢愉为代目，欢愉为代目，
This is
它有
Tara,
这种无漏
Triloki
的这种这个
Vijaya,
欢乐
or
和快乐
Droma
大乐。
Jiten
那
Sungyo,
么就
the
是
Tara who
以
possesses
它的这个威德
uncontaminated
呢，就
supreme
是
joy and great
度
bliss,
化这个
and
无量无
liberates
边的众
infinite
生。
sentient
那么
beings
这个
by her
度母呢，
mighty
就是实
power
际
and
上它有
merit.
个特点是什么呢？它的这个丁式，它的这个丁式的这种这个光芒呢，就是非
Characteristic
常
of
的
this
这个
Tara
细
is
庄
that the
严
radiant
啊，
light
就
of her
是
crown
庄
ornament
严，
is
并且呢，
uniquely
就是它发出
splendorous.
的这种这个笑
This
声
Tara
啊，就是
emits
发
the
出的一
sound
般
of
这个诸
laughter.
菩萨的笑声呢，为众生有利益的时候呢，都会这个笑
Buddhas
的。一
and
般动物的
Bodhisattvas
这
do
种
not
这个
laugh
笑
for
声
no
相关的
reason.
有一些
They
这
laugh
个资料
only
里
if
面
the
就是
laughter
说
brings
这个哈
benefit
哈
to
呵
sentient
呵
beings.
嘿嘿
According to
吼
some
吼啊，这个
materials,
有
the
这样的
laughter
这
of
个
Tara
这
sounds
个
like
笑声啊，
ha
有这样
ha,
的
he he,
那么
he
这
he,
些笑
ho
声呢，
ho.
实际上我们经
In
常这个
fact,
念诵的
these
嗡达里
laughter
达里
are
德
the
里索
mantra
拉
of
那个
Tara
咒
we
语。
often
那么这
recite.
个主
Om
语呢，
Dari Dudari
能
Duri
这个
Soha.
坏入，能这个驾驭
This
就是
mantra
世间
can
当中的
magnetize
所有
and
的一
command
些
all
这个
hosts of
驱魔啊，
Maras.
世间当中的所有的这些事件，就是包括就是比如说第十
Worldly
天呐，还有
divas
这个
like
梵天
Indra
呐、
and
国王
Brahma,
啊、大臣啊，然后世间当中的
as
种
well
种
as
的这些
worldly
人呐、
beings like
所以我
human
们
kings and
如果要
ministers.
想啊，就是世间的一切的这些外缘，就是魔障，就是不能摧毁你。世
If we
间的这
want
个
to
所有的
protect
这些
ourselves from
人
all
天的这个
unfavorable
众生呢，
conditions
你要
and
去
harm
好
caused
好
by
的就
demons
是
and foes,
帮助他们，
to
度化他
benefit
们的
and
话，首
liberate
先
all
是
beings,
把他
both
们的
human
心
and
啊这个收
non-human,
回来。
we
如
must
果你
first
心没有收回来
conquer
的
their
话呢，
minds.
可能有一定的这个
Otherwise,
困难。
it will be
那么你
rather
要心收回
difficult.
来的话呢， 就是如果你
In
自己
order
没
to
有一
conquer
种
their
美
minds,
德和
you
能力
need to
呢，就是
possess
很困难
virtuous
的。我们是这
prestige
样的一
and
个
influence.
家人的话，那如果
Otherwise, it
你
will be a
就是
challenge.
就是怎么说啊，吸引别人的这种魅
For
力也好，吸引
example,
别人的这种
in
能
a
力没有的话，
family,
那就是
if
你
you
越来
lack
越
the
跟他吵
charisma
架
to
的话，
attract
他
your
越来
mate,
越远离你，就是
the more
你
you
想
cling
就是
on to
帮助
him
他，
or
想
her,
让
the
他带走
further
也
they will
是不
stay
一
away
定的。
from you.
但是如果
Even
人
if you
自
have
己
done
有
a
了这
lot
种
to
为
keep
王
him
和
or
德
her
行，
around,
那这个
they
时候
may
呢，
still
自
leave
然
you.
而然的，就像是
But
由
if
这
we
个
have the charming
这个花
influence
朵
and
当中蜜
virtues,
蜂自然而
then
然来一
naturally
样，
sentient
就是
beings
所
will
以
come
总
and
是让
gather
人自然
around
而
us,
然记
like
住
the bees
这个时候
attracted
呢，
by
就是
flowers
用通过这个
spontaneously.
这个佛法来就是利益也是不是
Then, to
很
benefit
困难
them
的。
with the
所以
Dharma
我
wouldn't
们
be
这
a
个祈
problem
祷这个
anymore.
度母的过程当中呢，就是经常就是有这个度母的这种这个
Therefore,
架气啊，就
if
是
we
包括
want to
就是它这
benefit
个身
beings,
上的，
we
我
need to
们前面
pray
也
for the
讲过吧，
blessing
就
of
是它的
Tara.
我们看起来呢，就是它是很庄
Even
严
her
的这样的这
clothing
个
and
金银财宝
ornaments
的
are
这种
endowed
这
with
个外面
blessing.
是报圣这个
As
服
we
饰
mentioned
的，
before,
但是这
she's
种这个
dignified with the
也是
13
一种
ornaments
价
of
值
the
的象征
perfect
啊，价值
Sambhogakaya,
上的。
such
我们有
as
信
the
心，我
eight
们有
jewel
因缘的话
ornaments.
呢，也
These
是完全可
ornaments
以
are
就是
also signs
得
of
到的，就
blessing.
是得到这种概
If we
念。
have faith
记得吴国
with the
尊者
proper
那个专
causes
辑
and
里面，
conditions
都
coming
想不起来
together,
忘了一些。
we can also be
就是
blessed
吴
by
光尊
Tara's
的这
ornaments.
个专辑里
I
面呢，
remember there
就
is a
是吴光
story
尊
of
在就是
Longchenpa
在
in
一
his
至三世的
biography.
过程当中
I
呢，他
might
就
have
办了这个
forgotten
救死
some
架，
details
后
of
来
the
呢，
story,
当地的人们也
but the
是就是
biography
把
of
他开除
Longchenpa
了。开
tells
除以
that
后
while
呢，
he was
他在
studying
山
in
下就是写
Sampu,
了一些这个
some
严厉事
Kampa
件的
monks
导
actually
手，
threw him
然后
out
呢，
of his room
就是
7
去一
times.
个地方，去一
Finally,
个
he
地方呢，就
decided
是
that
遇
it
到
was
了好
time
像
to
一个
leave
各系
Sampu
啊，
for
这
food
个格西
and
呢，就是
compose a
也提着
poem
个腕
about
子去
his
跟着化
difficulties
缘
with the
的。他说我
Kampas
如果
entitled
化到了
Saddened
一
by
代
My
之主亲哥的话
Circumstances.
呢，准备在龙
Resting
山
in
洞
a
呢，
meadow
就是
in
去这
Lower
个
Cha
闭关。
Valley,
然
he
后吴
met
光
a
尊就说
scholar：“
我
named
也正好
Geshe
在想着
Tongso
到哪里
from
去这个
Gyama.
闭关，就是要不要我们一起
Longchenpa
去？
was about
结
to
果呢，
beg
就
for
是到
alms
那里去了
round.
以后，有
If
很
I
多
can
这个因
gather
缘
a
就
full
说是
bag of
因缘就
tsamba
出来了，
barley
就是
while
他们的
begging,
这个
I
闭
will
关
head
的这
to
种
the
粮食呢，
excellent
就是不成
cliffside
问题
cave
了。然
associated
后
with
呢，他
Master
每
Chokla
天呢，
for a
就是跟
retreat.
那个各系呢，就是
I
讲
am
这个
also
县
planning
官
to
状
stay
元
there
在
for the
然
winter.
后准备
Let's
8
go
年8个
together,
月还是9
said
个
the
月，就是在
Geshe.
那里这个闭
Many
关。
favorable
到了
conditions
第5个月
emerged,
的
thus
4月
they
8
had
日
no
有一天
problems with
早
getting
上还是晚
provisions
上
and
呢，
were
反
able
正
to
我
retreat
记
in
得
the
不是
cave.
很清楚，就是
During
在
the
这个就是
retreat,
吴光尊
every
在的这
morning
种
at
这
dawn,
个显现
Longchenpa
当中，
taught
显
the
现当中
ornament
的
of
话呢，
clear
就是度母的
realization
化
to the
身，一个
Geshe.
16岁的
Longchenpa
少女呢，
aspired
就
to
是骑着
retreat
一个
there for
马，
8
然
months.
后呢，就是在
After
身上
5
有
months of
各
practice
种
in
就
total
是珊瑚
darkness,
啊、玛
one
瑙啊，
morning
还
at
有
dawn,
金
he
银
had
财
a
宝，各
profound
种这个
experience.
装饰非常这个
In
绚烂的
his
一个
visionary
这个少
experience,
女，就是
Tara
在出现
manifested
在这个他
as
的
a
面前的。
16-year-old
然后呢，
girl
就是
riding
吴
on
光
a
尊就
horse,
是开始这个祈祷
richly
啊，就是
dressed
说是
in
这
a
个神母
brocaded
啊，就
robe,
今天就
a
是
jeweled
那么就是
tiara,
见到
and
你
a
就是非
golden
常
veil,
这个
with
欢喜，
gold
就是
and
祈弥
turquoise
这个赐
ornaments.
予这个加持
Such
我。
a
然后
perfectly
呢，
adorned
就是
girl of
结果这个
unparalleled
就
loveliness
度母的化
appeared
身
in
就是
front
那
of
个
him.
16岁的
He
少女
clasped
呢，
the
把
hem
自
of
己的
the
这个
girl's
保
robe
管就是
and
副冠呢，就
supplicated
是
her,
卸下来，
saying,
就是交给这
Exalted
个吴光
lady,
尊者。
how
交
happy
给吴
I
光
am
尊
to
者
see
以后
you.
的话呢，就是那么
Please take
他
me under your
就在一个
compassionate
月当
care.
中就是
He
哭了
removed her crown
无
of precious
二的
gems from
这
her
种
head,
眷属当中
placed
呢，
it
就
on
是
his
一直
head,
离开。
saying,
从此以后
From
呢，
now
这个
on
度母
I shall
就
always bless
始
you
终
and
都是
grant you cities.
在他的
After
这个事
receiving
业
the
最
blessing of
关键的
Tara,
时候
for a
就会
month
这个
he
出现
remained
啊，就是
absorbed
就
in
会
a
出现
state
的。
of
我
bliss,
想我们在座的
clarity,
道友
and
们呢，我们
non-conceptual
也是应
awareness.
该
Ever
原来
since,
我好像对
Tara
梦
would
想也有
appear
一
to
些，
provide assistance
但
at
当时没
almost
有这
every
样的
critical
度母的
time
时候，
of
所以
his
呢，
Dharma
可能
activities.
不一定有概
So
念。
I
还
think
有去
Dharma
年我
friends
们
here
做了
should
一个
generate
卡
faith
片，就是
towards
那个
Tara.
就我想这个
Last
卡片
year,
就是
I
很容易
distributed the
就
images of
是
Tara
多
that I
少
printed,
发了是吧？
but
发
you
了
might not feel anything towards them since I
发了
didn't
是吧？
introduce Tara's qualities.
发的话呢有没有可能有就
Last
不知
year,
道。
I also made cards of Tara which should be accessible to you.
那么
We distributed them, didn't we?
你看
We did? Alright. Did you get them?
出来了。
You might not have cared and just left them aside. See, Tara is coming.
怎么说啊？我刚才就是说呢，吴光尊者的是当时那个，好像1个月当
As I
中
was
是处于
saying,
一种空冷
thereafter,
这个境界当中。
Longchenpa
然后呢，
had
就是
been
他就
deeply
所作所
immersed
为都是
in
度
a
母
state
的
of
帮助
bliss,
这个弘法利
clarity,
生呐。
and
好像
non-conceptual
就在
awareness
这
for a
个
month.
哥玛兰扎上师的这个
Later,
就是见面
for
也是
whatever
通过手机的
activities
吧，
he
因为
did
天
for
手
benefiting
你们就
beings,
方便的是
Tara
翻开
granted
图
her
当自己的
support.
专辑啊，所以我
She
想
also
呢，
prophesied that he
我
would
们
meet
很多
his
人
destined guru, the
就
great
应该是
Rinchen
经常这
Kumaraza.
个
When you
修
have
度
time,
母
you
是
should
很有
read the
必要的。
biography of the
剑山主义
Venerable
吧，也是
Longchenpa.
经常就是讲我们这个学院
Thus,
里
I
面，就
think
是比
it's
如说
necessary for many
有一
people to
些
practice
出
Tara
现一些这个
regularly.
现象上的一些这个违缘呐，或者是出现一些文艺
When
病啊，就是
epidemics
在那
or
个
other
时候呢，
kinds of
就是大家
unfavorable
就共
conditions
同就是
occurred
修
in
这个
Larungar,
度母法，
His
就
Holiness
平
Jigme
时呢
Phuntsok
就是也
Rinpoche
经常
often
经
asked the
常有
Sangha
见的，
members
因
to
此
engage in
我
the
们
practice of Tara
现在
together.
呢
We
在
used
这
to
个
pray to
生活当
Tara
中
when
吧，
facing
就是
problems.
应该说这个 修心就是还是很重要的。有些实践
Therefore,
人呢，
to practice
我
Tara
们
brings
看到什么
significant
时候看
benefits
到
in
的
our
有一
daily
个
life.
实践人，就是说他
The
就
other
特别
day,
喜
I
欢
read a
念
story
这
of
个杜
how
牧
a
心
lady
咒。
received
为什么
Tara's
呢？以
blessing.
前他那个家庭呢，
She said she
就
really
是
likes
好
to
像
recite the
刚
Tara
开始就
mantra.
不是很好的，就后来
The
呢，这
reason
个家
is
庭就
related
是
to the
特别的
change
这
of her
种
family.
和睦。然后
Before,
有一
her
个上
family
师呢，就
wasn't
是
too
要求他念那
harmonious.
个杜牧心
Then
咒
a
40
master
万遍。
instructed
到
her
了
to
20
recite the
万
Tara
遍的时候
mantra
呢，就是
400,000
他的这个
times.
家庭就已经
By the time
完
she
全有
reached
很大的这个
200,000
变化，就是
recitations,
特别快
her
乐。
family
那
became
这样的
much
话
more
呢，别人也
harmonious,
极其
full
的
of
这种羡
happiness,
慕他们的这
getting
个
a
家。
lot of
这样的时
admiring
候呢，他
glances.
就把40万遍
So she
念了，就是
gladly
后来呢，
completed
就
the
是他再
400,000
念这个
recitations.
好像100万还是怎么的，就是100万。确
Later,
实，我们
she
现在
aspired to
在这个
recite
实
the
践当中，
mantra a
很多人
million
的这种
times.
感应呢，就其实诸
Surely,
菩萨的
many
加持
people
所
have
他种
experienced
生的这个
blessing
信
after
心。
practicing
从此真的
Tara.
有了信心的话
Whether
呢，
one
虽然
receives
这
the
是一
blessing
种，
of
因为我
Buddhas
们
and
现在讲的
Bodhisattvas
是
lies
歪
on
修法，
one's
就是中
faith.
国的歪修法呢，就相
Now
当
we
于
are
是一
just
种
learning
坐
the
像。
literal
也
meaning
许
of
你们
this
学禅
phrase,
宗的、
which
学大
focuses
圆
more
满的
on the
啊，这些
visualization
对
of
我
the
们来讲
appearance
就
of
不要
Tara.
坐像。其实
Perhaps
口头
some
上
of
我们
you
这
who
样说
practice
禅，实际
Chan
上
or
呢，有时
Dzogchen
候
would
我们
say,
做三法的
"Oh,
像还是
don't tell us
有
about
必要
this.
的。
We
如
should
果
not be
我前
attached
面
to
这里讲的
anything."
吧，我们有
At
很多护法
times,
神
we
也是
still
帮
need
助
to be
我，有
attached
很多
to
这个
what
空
is
心
good
和
and
有一
virtuous.
些这个本尊呢
As
是
I
经常
mentioned
护
in
助
the
我的
last
话呢，
lecture,
那么我的这个
if Dharma
佛法女僧
protectors
也
like
好，
kings and
然后呢
yidams come
还
to
有自
grant
己的
us
这个
support
事业啊，
frequently,
然后自己
whether
的这
for
个
our
修行啊，各
activities
方
of
面都是
propagating the
很
Dharma,
顺利的，
personal
就跟随
practice,
的，
or
而且这种
career,
能力
all
和势
aspects
力
of
呢，
life
也
and
是极
practice
其
will
的
be
这种
smooth,
强大
and we
啊，
will
就是强
become
大，这
extremely
已经应
capable
该
and
看
powerful
得
in
出
what
来。
we
我都
do.
像就是现在
This
魔法
is
师啊，
obvious.
你看那个各个地方的
In
这
this
个佛
age
教
of
呢，就是
degeneration,
表面上看的并不是很兴
Buddhism
盛的。
in
说
different
实在的，
places
我
doesn't
们
seem
这
to
个
be
汉
that
地，
prosperous.
这个很多道场，不是说
To
全
be
部，
honest,
有很多道场的话呢，就是有一种称呢，一种这个
many
商业
temples
性
in
和一
mainland
些应
China
用性
have
的这
turned
种
into
道场啊，
places for
那就
business
看到一个的
operations
是，
and
就是
tourist
找不到一
attractions.
个佛教的古老的这种真挚的这个原始佛
If
教的
one visits
思想，就
these
是这个
temples,
真理思想
one
也
can
找不到，
hardly
传
find
播
the
也传
authentic
播的这种
essence
理
of
念也是
Buddhism.
没有的。而很多
There's
人
no
呢，
propagation
就
of the
是
Dharma
这个
or
拜
real
佛的话呢，就是
philosophies
也
of
是
Buddhism in
为
these
了就是
places.
这种这个平安呐，就是
Many
我
people
孩
go
子
to
这个
worship
考
the
上这个
Buddha
大
only
学
to
啊，
pray for personal
然后
welfare.
生意呢就是
Kids
做的这
entering
个成
college,
功啊，
having
发
a
财啊，
successful
就是除了这
business,
个以外，
making a
真
good
正的精
fortune,
神上
and
的
the
东
like.
西呢，你到了这个寺院里面的人呢，他也没有这
Besides
个需求，
these, they
即
have
使
no
这个需求的
pursuit
话
for
呢，
spiritual
好多就是
improvement.
真正的这个讲经说法的人呢，就是也很少。然后在我们
Even
藏地
if
的
they
话呢，
do,
也
there are
是
very few who
确
can
实这个
expound
很多
Buddhist
寺院呢，
scriptures
有些
and
老的这个修
philosophies.
行人呢，就是纷
The
纷的这个
situation
圆
in the
寂。
Tibetan
然后
region
年轻
is
的一
not
些这个出家
optimistic
人的话呢，
either.
也有这个坏
While
修
there
啊，
are
就
many
是有各种这
monasteries,
个不
all
好的这个
monastics
一
are
些
passing
行
away
为出
one
现。
by one.
好多这个孝
Meanwhile,
的一些
many
僧人
young
的话呢，这个
monastics
国家也
return
自
their
己有
vows
时候是
and
也
demonstrate
控制，就是要求
inappropriate
就是孩子们
behaviors.
都要这个
Children are
上这个国家
prohibited
的
from
这个
getting
义务教育
ordained
的
as
这个
they
学校
are
啊。那
requested
这样
to
以后的话
receive
呢，基
compulsory
本上好多
education
寺院的是
according
现
to
在
the
有一
laws
种
of the nation.
就是短缺
Therefore,
啊，就是
many
短缺僧人的
monasteries
这
are
种
facing
危
the
险
risk
性
of
的。老
monastic
的已经这个
shortage.
圆寂了，小的就是暂时
Because
各种
many
因
old
缘就是不
monastics
让
have
这个
passed
成熟。
away,
中等的这
children
些人
cannot
呢，
get
我们
ordained.
外面的什么网络啊、电
And the
视
young
啊，就还有
monastics
各种
are
各样的一
distracted
些
by the
外援，就
internet,
是那么这样的
television,
话呢，
all
藏地
kinds of
虽然
external
各个地方都有
temptations.
很好的一些寺院，但是
In
这
the
个寺院
Tibetan
呢，
region,
并不是
there are
外在
many
的一个
magnificent
这个
monasteries,
这个非常这个辉煌的这个建筑啊，
but
就
a
这不一定叫
monastery
叫
shouldn't
这个寺
just
院。
be
如
a
果是叫
splendid
寺
work
院
of
的话的寺，
construction.
那就比较简单。但
To
真正
run
的
a
这个寺院的
monastery
精髓
isn't
所
as
在呢，
simple
就是
as
佛教
building
的
a
这个
majestic
这
construction.
样的这个时
In
代当
fact,
中的话呢，
the
有的时候
quintessence
在
of the
想啊，
real
就是
monastery
依
is
靠
the
这个
spirit
发
of
往
Buddha
儒家
Dharma.
走向，我们暂时来看
Sometimes
的
I
话呢，
think, in
我们这
times
个
like
佛学院
these,
的是
owing to the
包括这
blessing
个
of
出家
His
人的
Holiness
是有
Chinme
这么
Pontsol
几千
Rinpoche,
个人，就是一
it
起
is
聚集
amazing
在
that
在
several
这里
thousands of
就是
monks
在
and
别的地
nuns
方呢，就
have
是不到是一
gathered
个
at
单堂。
Lorong Gar
那
for
这个
all
是
this
应该是
time.
有很多高
This
僧
can
大德
hardly
的
be
这
seen
种华
anywhere
严有
else.
还有同
It
时
should
呢，我
be
们在这里
attributed to the
经常就是
aspiration
念
of
这个
many
度
great
母法门啊，
masters,
念护法神啊，
plus
念
the fact
很
that
多
the
的这
Sangha
个，包括
members
我
here
自己也
often
在
pray to
想，为什
Tara
么我们
and many
很多
other
人这个
deities to
开
make
发会的时候
offering
也是
to
这
Dharma
这么多的
protectors.
很顺利的，很
Sometimes I
很方
wonder
向的
how
大
we
家
are
一
able
起
to
一
hold
起，
Dharma
在别的地
sampling
方的话呢，就是
smoothly
可能
here
10 个
at
人、几个
Lorong.
人、8个人，就是开
With
一个
so many
小
Sangha
小的法
members
会的话呢，
gathering
就是中
together
间
to
经常
practice
会有各
under
种
a
各样的这
relaxed
个会员。但这
atmosphere,
个缘起
while in
呢，
other
应该是
places,
由
to
这
hold
个
a
一
small
些人的
puja
三
with
桥
only
佛言不
7,
离
8,
开。
or
就是如
10
果
people
我们
gathering
这个
together
学
would
院里面的
incur
很多
many
人，就
kinds
是
of
这三
troubles.
桥不方便，就是
This
对
is due to the
对政治啊、
skillfulness
对
of the
纪律
masters
啊、
in
对
our
很多方面
academy.
挂钩的
If
话
they
呢，
couldn't deal
可
with
能也
matters
不一定就
skillfully,
是
and let our academy get involved in political, financial issues, etc., our academy wouldn't be able to exist for a long time. At the same time, we have the incredible blessing from the noble ones, like some deities, Dharma protectors, as well as many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas such as Tara, Avalokiteshvara, and Guru Pamasambhava, who is particularly powerful in pacifying obstacles with his might and great compassion. When these causes and conditions come together, even in this time of degeneration, it is still possible for us to carry forward Buddha Dharma and study Buddhism together. So, even if you just attend a Dharma assembly or one Dharma lecture, do not take it as an ordinary social gathering. You should treasure the opportunity, regard it as precious as the only meal you can have in 100 days. Being mindful to hold a heart of cherishing and appreciation is important. It's hard to say when one will lose such an opportunity or how long our academy will sustain in the future as a whole. Looking back in history, Nalanda University used to be such a great monastery and was one of the earliest Buddhist academies in the world. Now, it's nothing but a historical site. So, will our academy exist for a long time? Now the Lama Shrine Hall is under construction. The Shrine Hall has been designed to be built very solid. Just the foundation alone is very strong. The concrete underground is about 1 meter deep. Normally, in airport runways, foundation is about 1.6 meters deep. I sometimes think that if our academy no longer exists, the concrete foundation will still remain very solid. Sometimes I will think about impermanence when overseeing the construction. To think this way might be inauspicious when we are just laying the foundation. But whatever is born is impermanent and is bound to die. I often contemplate on such teachings of impermanence. So I often think, the foundation is so solid, will it still remain once our academy is gone? There's a tree in my backyard that grows year by year. It grows about 1 meter taller each year. At times, I may wonder whether it will still be there when I die. Sometimes I think about impermanence when I see this tree, whether it's the individual or the academy as a whole. Truly, all are impermanent. Now we have the opportunity to attend the Dharma assembly, study the Dharma, and make good aspiration together. Never regard these activities as common social gatherings. If we see them as ordinary as worldly meetings or shopping together with friends, then we do not recognize the true value of Buddhism. How much hardship had great masters in the past undergone on their way to India? Why? It was for the pursuit of Buddha Dharma. For some lay practitioners here, I believe you have also gone through many challenges to come here. But in order to acquire the Dharma, every effort is worth it. To obtain some simple knowledge, secular people will spend lots of money and undergo many hardships. This is commonly seen. So I think that in order to acquire Mahayana Buddhism, even to listen to just one teaching is worth of all our effort. In sum, whether it's for the good of personal practice or the overall benefit of Buddhism, we should consistently pray to the noble ones, constantly make good aspirations, and stay brave. While we are in samsara, blessing and bravery are both needed. In the teaching of Buddhist logic days ago, I mentioned that many causes and conditions are required even for a bottle to exist in this world. If we want to carry forward Buddha Dharma, we need to make an effort ourselves as well as rely on the support from non-human beings, the powerful blessing from Bodhisattvas and Buddhas, and the strength from the Dharma protectors. Only with all these forces gathered together can the wonderful vows of Dharma sustain in this world. As long as Buddha Dharma exists, people will definitely receive benefits, both temporary and ultimately. Alright, that's it for today. Wow, here they come. Look at them. All of them look like great monks.
这些一个比一个胖。
Wow, each one is more round than the other.
我们的定力自众生度母，定力分虚九度母，母如刹那三点。三月五竹莲花灭，花蕊绽放种种谢。定力月色北度母，九百满月积聚。三界群星同汇聚，金方微光金翅山。定力之母金色母，莲花庄严奇妙。我是精进空心经，安然禅定心静心。定力如来定寂寞，本质无灭众生。我的无与波罗蜜，一切佛之净一智。定力无因之大母，身边玉色虚空界，其中亚佛七世界，皆能构造净物。定力地分光风魔，火身分身自在空，规划七世继续下，夜叉总会解散。定力真方大法魔，战法尽会地火龙，有去诸山诸亚佛，竟然须求烈火焰。定力大魔九多魔，摧毁一切群魔。莲花容颜显明媚，无以战其诸咒怨。定力三宝也一魔，手持当须漏尾。朝夜我与众马轮，只是光芒不萦绕。定力万月为德魔，定是光芒真巴兰。嬉笑大笑神咒音，围绕群魔于世。结合神斗魔，能照一切诸地神。明媚中的万王神，消除所有诸病。定力月相观灭魔，一切是病即摧散。无量光魔即众现，万丈光芒最耀。定力烈焰神斗魔，如魔见我诸光芒。有神所取其自在，击坏一切诸地。定力明灭神斗魔，周转压地主宰他。灭罗多若梵王神，击破其中一切。定力安乐柔三魔，涅槃涅槃心即心。真是咒语闻说话，摧毁一切大罪恶。定力明觉闻斗魔，总会围绕净化。于地之上心即摧，十咒中原明咒。定力真化三界魔，众难妄想为种子。须弥魔血曼达拉，三世界界皆动摇。九元变动神斗魔，手持天海相交。说大人不自身，我欲灭除一切度。定力天王所起魔，天人飞天现影。一切欢喜之为德，切除真斗与恶门。定力效益神斗魔，日月双魔光显。说安人都难柔，心中虚为一魔。定力聚光神斗魔，安利一切三生。真具体灭为真理，摧魔其实也差中。一根本真理战，21度母中。我定力自身九，我分九度母，母如刹那闪电光。三月五竹莲花灭，花蕊绽放种种。定力原色北斗母，九百满月积聚列。人间群星同汇聚，金方微光金翅。定力之母金色母，莲花庄严奇妙手。梦是境界空寂静，安然禅定心静。定力如来定寂母，本质无别众生心。我的无与波罗蜜，一切佛之净业。定力黄云深潮州，天边玉色虚空界。其中亚佛七世界，皆能构造净物。定力地分光分母，分身分身自在光。规划七世聚集相，夜叉总会见参。定力神法大法母，战法尽会地火龙。永居坐山诸亚佛，三杀群群烈火。定力大佛九斗魔，摧毁一切凶猛魔。莲花容颜显明媚，无与战其诸处。定力三宝也一魔，手持当须漏尾焰。庄严不与诸法龙，只是光芒不隐。定力还原为德魔，定是光芒真巴兰。嬉笑大笑神咒音，会绕群魔于世。定力简化神斗魔，能照一切护地神。灭灭手动万王神，消除所有诸病。定力月相诸灭魔，一切是病即摧传。无量光佛即众现，横照光芒最耀。定力烈焰神斗魔，容貌见我诸光芒。有神作具悉自台，击坏一切诸地。定力明灭神斗魔，手掌压地主宰他。灭罗动若梵王神，击破其中一切。定力安乐柔三魔，即灭涅槃心即心。真是咒语闻说话，摧毁一切大罪。 地理明觉黄多母，尊为围绕其欢喜。愿天身上心气水，世事庄严民众。地理正化三界母，诸大众小为种子。须弥不觉曼达拉，三世间界见同有。地理面头神多母，手持天海小球。周而大人佛之神，无欲灭作一切度。地理天王说其母，天人非天现意。一切欢喜之为德，解除神道与恶门。地理邪恶神多母，日月双目光显明。所尔化热度的人，消除愚门为因。地理聚光神多母，安立一切三圣如。占据奇妙为真理，聚光聚。一根本正立赞21度母中，我地理之中是斗母，地理分学九斗母，摩罗刹那三铁光，三月火中莲花面，花叶绽放种种，月正月中北斗母，九尾满月结聚莲，真切聚切东为聚，金毛为光金自然，地理真毛金色母，莲花庄严奇妙。我人心情空心情，二人禅定心即心，地理如来天界母，分身无边众生心，我得不因波罗蜜，一切不是情。地理荒野真善母，身边预测虚空界，其中下覆其世界，皆能够得其无语。地理地方光文母，火神分身自在，回望其实继续想，夜叉中为见赞叹。地理神法大母母，传法行为主。欲欲作者诸亚夫，真来群雄烈火焰。地理大魔九斗母，尊为一切凶猛魔。莲花容颜谢明媚，无业三界诸仇。地理三宝夜夜母，手持当军龙为业。庄严不与珠宝龙，自是光芒不异。地理花园为大母，地日光满成白兰。细小大小神咒音，围绕群魔于世界。地理结合神斗母，能造一切蝴蝶。天命众多凡红尘，消除所有诸病菌。地理月相全灭后，一切事变即生。无量光佛金手前，恒热光芒最耀眼。地理烈焰神斗母，rom魔结化烛光。击坏一切诸敌军，地理面面神斗母，手掌压地主在他，面容多如凡红尘，击破其中一切诸。地理安乐柔善母，寂灭涅槃心经。真是遭遇文说话，摧毁一切大罪恶。地理明觉黄斗母，尊为围绕其环。愿天身上心气吹，四周庄严明则红。地理正化三界母，诸大红小为种。须弥不觉曼达拉，三世间界皆同有。地理面头神斗母，手持天海小球。所尔大人法之神，无欲灭作一切度。地理天王说其母，天人非天现意志，并将欢喜之为德，解除真道与恶。地理效应神的母，日月双目光显妙。所尔化热度的人，消除巨门为因。地理具具母，安立一切三圣如。占据奇妙为真理，吹摩其世界上。一根本正立赞21度母中。
嗡达咧得达咧得咧梭哈。嗡达咧得达咧得咧梭哈。达咧达咧梭嗡达咧得达咧得咧梭
的这巴万的这个的这个的这个的巴的嘛什么那一种面的嘛的这巴万的这个的那个我巴的嘛什么那一种面的嘛的这巴的这个巴的嘛什么那一种那电动蓝气的库拉这都是那个那边在的我是的什么了不知道我们是这地站班子里说那电动蓝气的库拉这都是那个那边在的我是的什么了不知道我们是这地站班子里说那电动蓝气的库拉这都是那个那边在的我是的什么了不知道我们是这地站班子里说人家他们不可以转西修养老这就送个转西修他这准备推荐转西人家是各种推荐转西修这个男中和女中大家都唱得很好然后以后呢都可以算是我们僧众一起做加持成为那个金刚语金刚音那么以后我们在汉地不管哪种念诵的话呢都成为度母的独特念诵就这个传是一种元气就是元气非常圆满所能的一段这最高灭东南那边这么这个南极这龙出吧这本子内着